everyone. Welcome, new friends and old. This is episode 3 of the Dharma Bum Show, and it's simply entitled, Thank You. I really wanted to do an episode to just show my gratitude for all of you helping me to so quickly build this incredible channel up, and to become also a part of Lama Choga's community and channel at Ultimate Meaning. So that's what this video is about, and I'm also going to address some comments. I got so many comments, so many views, and we're going to talk about all that. I'm here in a lovely dog park. It's really actually quite huge. It goes on for quite some ways that way, and then in front of me I can see quite a bit of the park. And the boys are here with me. They're walking around. You may see them in the shot. It's a lovely day, but it's going to get quite scorching hot. It's actually very early in the morning here, about 8 o'clock, and I'm going to knock out 1 or 2 videos maybe before it gets to 100 degrees, guys. That's what it's aiming for today here in Northern California, where me and the boys are at. So let's get on with it. As usual, I got my show notes, but because I have a new sort of like laptop going on here, as you might have noticed, I have my show notes on the screen, so it'll be, maybe not quite as obvious that I'm using cheat notes during my shows, but anyway, I just wanted to, first of all, the name of the show is Thank You. Thank you to all the viewers. First of all, thousands and thousands of views. I really can't believe that. Well, of course, with a lot of help from Lama Choga and one other individual at least who shared it out on a really large channel. My gratitude to them for sharing. But then, to count as a view, you have to stick around and actually watch the video. So that's a lot of people watching my content. I'm going to try to hopefully up my game a little bit and make even classier and more entertaining and hopefully informative, and maybe even content to make you feel a little bit better about everything, but about your Buddhist practice and about the Dharma. So thank you to all the viewers. Thank you to everybody who liked and subscribed. I actually got a couple of awards for the number of likes, like on my shorts and stuff like that. My analytics are just keep flashing me notifications. That's really gratifying. When you make a channel, you want it to do well. I didn't want to make one again. I'm a former content creator on YouTube, and I didn't want to do a channel really so much anymore. But if I am going to do one, I want it to do well and be seen and be enjoyed. And it definitely, you guys out there are making me feel the love. So thank you again for that. And last but far from least, because you kind of made the channel, thank you to all the financial donors. I really wanted to be able to do this channel well. I needed a certain few items that I could get at a really decent price, and I didn't want to take that out of my dog's budget or out of our budget. We don't have a lot of money, obviously. We live day to day, actually. We have no kind of savings or anything like that, so I really didn't want the money to come out of that. I didn't want them to have to feel the pain, so to speak. I was probably willing to do it anyway, but I was hoping I didn't have to, and the financial donors really made that possible. I was able to get it's very tiny gear. You can see most of it actually laid out on the table, except the camera itself, which is up on a tiny tripod, everyone. But so a lot of people made that happen, but the financial donors definitely made it happen. And then this tiny form factor laptop, which is basically a tablet split in half, is very handy. It fits on the wagon. It didn't add a lot of weight, which was important, and I think that I'll be able to do a very nice job for you guys with this. So, and I guess definitely last but not least, Lama Choga himself, who put it out on his channel. But also, I really just kind of made a couple of videos at first just to try to break into I thought his community and his channel and his people surrounded around him were really cool, and I thought he was really cool. And I just kind of wanted to break into that. So I actually just threw up a couple of videos on a blank channel, and just to sort of say hello. And he really felt like, yeah, he wanted to put it out there, and he felt like it was good content. So, with his support and his encouragement, it went from there. And just can't thank you enough. We have a channel, Dharma Bum Productions. Here it is, guys. We're live and in color on YouTube, right? I'll do some live streams. I guess that's the final opening note. But I don't have the courage that Lama Choga has for that sort of thing. That's really putting yourself out there to go live. I will do it. I've done it before. I'll do it, but give me some time. Let me get my legs underneath me, get some more content up on the channel, and talk to you guys some more. Make sure you guys like me. I mean, maybe after 2 or 3 videos, you'll be like, I'm sick of this guy. I'm sick of the Dharma Bum. His dogs are cute, but, he's full of shit. So, whoops. Sorry about that. Sorry, Lama. Final opening note before I get into the meat of the show, which is some comments I want to respond to that y'all made. And by the way, thank you to everybody who commented. So many commenters. There was one commenter who wanted to know, and lovely person, by the way, made a couple of comments. I thank you for them. I treasure all the sweet, kind words that you guys all had for me, for the channel, for the boys. But this person had a question, and I didn't want to really... There's a few questions I just didn't want to answer in writing. I didn't think I could. This was one of them that's a pretty simple question to answer. I just couldn't bring myself to hit the reply button. But this person wanted to know what the word troll meant. And it was a person who, said, hey, look, I'm sorry, but I'm not technologically inclined. I'm not a geek. What does the word troll mean? Okay, so a troll or trolling is a particular aspect of internet culture, what's known sort of colloquially as internet culture, which is actually studied by anthropologists. I met an anthropologist once and was good friends with her, actually, Biola Coleman, who studies internet culture and is actually, that's her field of study, is the culture of the internet, because that's what anthropologists do. They study culture, right? So trolling is a part of that, and what it is in simplest terms, I'll try to keep the simplest definition possible. Essentially, a troll is a person who is going to try to get you as pissed off as you can possibly get, for maybe trying to prove a point, but primarily the reason is their own enjoyment of it. And so trolls in general, especially the hardcore ones who will really, dig into your comments and really, swing the insults and stuff at you, are generally speaking pretty sad people. I mean, in general, and you kind of have to have compassion for them. I got a couple of troll comments. One of them I responded to with what I thought was a very witty reply. The other one I just kind of left alone. Didn't feel like, as long as nobody's insulting or crude or uses lots of curse words or anything like that, I'll leave the comments up as is. I didn't censor any so far, so everything is still up the way it was. But that's what a troll is, my dear friend. And so what if you heard me talk about light trolling, that can be okay, I mean, to poke fun at somebody and laugh at them and not necessarily with them for a second is not terrible bad. I've talked about lightly trolling our own Lama, and that's not meant in a terrible way, because yes, I'm doing it at his expense and I'm getting a chuckle out of it. But it's not hurtful, it's not hateful, it's not, it's meant in kind heart and just to have fun, right? And so there is that kind of sort of light trolling. But mostly when people speak of trolls, they speak of the hardcore ones, and they're a culture. They have websites. They have it's just they're a whole thing, and they're generally speaking, like I said, to me, very sad people. To spend your time being so creative too. That's the kicker, right? The trolls can be so creative with their trolling, just to try to be hurtful towards people. Just seems like kind of a waste of time to me. I mean, it's I'd rather almost just be out, like, indulging my senses or something. Like, even getting drunk seems like more fun than that. But so anyway, that's trolling. And long story short, we're gonna dive right into the comments. I got my phone standing by here so I can take a look at a couple of them and read them back to you. First of all, the first one is, I hope I pronounce it right, Missa. I might have pronounced it wrong, but anyway, a follower and a subscriber from pretty early on, although the channel's only a couple weeks old, right? But and he mentioned about the Nothing Burger comment. He said Nothing Burger is cute. I just want to say, in that very first video, I was speaking about Xavier's vest, and he's back here somewhere. I don't know if you can see him in the shot. There he is. There's Xavier behind me. I see him. He's kind of in the glare there, but he's moving around. But so he mentioned about the comment that I made about Xavier's Nothing Burger vest. Okay, Xavier is far from a Nothing Burger. Okay, it was the vest I was speaking about, and I should have put context around that and wrapped it around it, because that made it sound like I was, making light of Xavier. We love Xavier. He's a very highly trained, working professional therapy dog. What I meant by the Nothing Burger vest is, he doesn't in America, working dogs have standing. They have rights based on the vest that they wear. Xander's actually qualified to wear a couple of different vests, not only his service vest, which gives him his ADA rights under the American with Disabilities Act of 1990, but he also is a search and rescue dog, and we have his full kit here with us in the wagon. What I meant by the vests, designate and sort of give their rights. If you had to, like, sort of list the rights, okay, in descending order of, like, sort of prevalence and power or whatever, the therapy dog would be at the very bottom, okay? They don't have any really rights. They have some institutional rights based on the fact that, like, if you're an institution that allows therapy dogs, you have to consider Xavier as allowing him in. He has a photo ID. He has certificates of PAT training, which he has to be public access trained so that he doesn't pee on the furniture or bite anybody, essentially. And so he's a professional working dog. It's just that the vest is a Nothing Burger vest in the sense that we can't force Xavier into a restaurant, but me and Xander can walk into NASA together, because we have it's a civil right under federal law. That we can't be separated, not even in an ambulance or under any circumstances are we to be separated. My life would literally be in danger, and I have a letter that says so. So, from a health professional. Anyway, that's the Nothing Burger comment. It meant the vest, not Xavier. He's a very wonderful. He's totally qualified to be a service dog. You just can't have two. You cannot deploy two service animals at the same time. It's one of the many sort of rules of the game. So we wanted Xavier to wear a vest so he didn't get jealous. At first, we did kind of give it to him for no reason at all, but he definitely has earned it in spades. He has done grief counseling over at the animal hospital for people who have put their animals down, and that's a tough one. But we won't get into vests. But anyway, that's the comment, if you will, on the Nothing Burger vest. I want to say hello. Quite surprisingly, several people indicated that they are fellow Dharma bums. So hello to my fellow Dharma bums out there. I think, if I recall, one of them as far away as Australia. I'm going to have to go back through and reread them and maybe make some notes. But some great comments and chiming in there. I really didn't think there was enough of us to matter, and apparently there's enough of us that several of you found the channel and tuned in, which means you're already following Lama's channel, and so you're right where you should be, because one of the things that, of course, I love about Lama Choga is his acceptance, his open-hearted acceptance of this sort of way of tackling the problem of how do you renounce in a modern world. And it's very difficult, and maybe I got it right and maybe I've got it wrong, but at least the Lama is open-minded to the attempt, and I think that's really, really, really cool. And so to my fellow Dharma bums out there, now a couple of you commented, I sort of maybe fueled the fire by trolling you guys, but no, we're not going to start a movement about Dharma bums, and I'm the one, I sort of put that out there as a joke, but no, we're not going to start the Dharma bum movement. As for like any kind of, I think just for now, we've got communication open, right? We can communicate through these comments. We can communicate through Lama Choga's channel. I'll consider the options going forward, maybe to put up something where the Dharma bums could meet. But I think we could just do live streams, though, and have the Dharma bums come on the show even and talk about their own experiences. It's very easy to do. You set it up with Zoom and then just do a screen capture onto the live stream. I'm pretty good at it. I did a lot of talk sort of shows in my time. So to the fellow Dharma bums, hi, hello, and interesting life, right? There's Xavier. He's chiming in. He says, one person writes, I was going to ordain as a monk in Thailand. That was until they informed me that for the ordination process, a requirement is to remain in a kneeling position for a total of 45 to 60 minutes. This is not possible for me due to, look, and you know what, that's not possible for me either, and it's not possible for a lot of people. He goes on to say, explain that, Buddha trained a serial killer, and I sense the frustration and whatnot, but I think that you answered your own question in the end, and I'm just going to try to reaffirm that for you. Yes, seek ordination on your own any way you can. If you feel called to any lifestyle, to the I fully intend to become ordained at one point in my adventure, and I will find a Lama that'll do it for me, and I won't have to kneel for 60 minutes, and if he tells me I got to, I'll find another Lama, is what I'll do, and I'll keep searching until I find one that will be reasonable. And I think that's what you've got to do, because it's really about religion. I've always believed this should serve us. We should not serve the religion. This is the key. This is the key where the mistake is made. It's the most simplest pivot point, but it's where the mistake is made. It's from that flows all, either the goodness of religion or the badness. But write your own story and find enlightenment your way. And so yeah, that's what I got to say on that. On the final comment that I wanted to sort of address was on, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at it now. And I'm going to try to scroll down here to the comment and find it. Just give me two. Fair amount of doggy interruptions today. So, I believe I've discovered it. All right, I found the comment. So this is what we're looking at now, is a picture of the Mount Athos. This is kind of the main cluster of buildings. This picture doesn't really do it justice. It's kind of perched up on this weird sort of cliff thing that goes out into the ocean. The backside has also got ocean on it. And then the whole surrounding mountain of Mount Athos and then the area really around it is a sort of almost like Vatican City state, but for the Greek Orthodox, in the sense that the entire thing is a autonomous enclave, a sovereign enclave. Only religious men can enter it. No women are allowed on Mount Athos. In fact, female animals aren't even allowed on Mount Athos. In ancient times, this monastery's been around forever, but in times long past, the whole mountain was filled with like stone huts and caves and little crevices and everything, where the sort of the hermits, the actual renunciates, would go up onto the mountainside and live. And it's quite an ancient monastic tradition, and I think in general what he was asking was my ideas on it and how it relates to sort of Buddhism and everything. And then he had a more specific question that I'm going to address as quickly as I can, because we're kind of running long. But so on a topical level, Eastern and Western sort of Orthodox Christianity, Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy have the original tradition of renunciation and whatnot is incredibly fascinating. Like in Egypt especially, they had like this one monk who went up on a pole and put a tiny little 2 foot by 2 foot platform up there and stayed up on this pole for like years, right? I mean, years and years and years. And they would just winch the food up to them and whatnot. And so, and, people who lived in caves, people who wore hair shirts, people who were naked hermits and whatnot. And this was also true. There was a lot of eccentricity and a lot of that sort of freewheeling renunciation, you could call it, in Western too as well, which sort of peaked in the high Middle Ages with St. Francis here in the West, in the Catholic West. And he was really, really into being a street person mendicant, and he really lived amongst the homeless and lived in filthy rags, and told all the rich people that they should give up everything they own and come live with him in the streets. He kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back and began a sort of a sweeping reformation of that out of Catholicism for sure, and by then it was already been quite tamped down in Orthodoxy as well. He was summarily dragged to Rome, and the Pope let him know in no uncertain terms, you will not be telling rich people to give away all their money. And the problem wasn't that he was scandalizing rich people, although he was making them quite angry. But that could have been dealt with. Rich people were actually doing it. And they were actually afraid the economy would crumble, like if all these rich people just flocked into the streets and started following St. Francis around. So that kind of brought an end to that sort of. I looked into the hermit thing in Catholicism briefly, and you have to have a home, you have to have health insurance, you have to get a psychological evaluation every year, and that to me doesn't sound like the sort of renunciation that I had in mind, either as a Catholic or now as a Buddhist. And so that's kind of my take on it. And the final part of your question was a bit personal, but I'm going to go ahead and answer it. He asked me why I converted from Catholicism to Buddhism. And specifically, I would have to add, I'll add to the question Vajrayana Buddhism. And I'll be as brief as I can, but basically, like I said, science, philosophy, religion, I believe that these institutions serve us. And so I have answers that I want from these institutions. I have answers that I want from science. definitive answers, and I have answers that I would like to get from philosophy, although less definitive, right? But I still want them to be concrete. And the same is true for religion. I personally had 3 huge questions that nothing else in life, none of those other institutions could answer. And so I turned to religion in general. First of all, I was born Catholic, so I didn't really have a choice in the matter, but I stayed. It was interesting. It was magical. It was mystical. And so to those 3 questions, 1, does the supernatural exist at all, or is it just all bullshit? Is it all just atoms and quarks and physics and math, and are we just imagining all of this? The answer is yes and no, but the answer is a solid yes for me. But somebody's got to, I want convincing that the supernatural exists at all, because that's the first step, really. I mean, otherwise, if there's nothing else but what we see in front of us, a lot of this, you have to admit, is sort of a waste of time, right? I mean, there's no point in going much further than that. So, does the supernatural exist? Do you persevere after death? Do you persist in some fashion? And again, there's the definition of you in Buddhism, whatever, but just roll with it for a second. Do you survive death? And as a subset of that question, because there seems to be so much near-death experiences being recorded already in my lifetime, even in the 70s, there were many books out on it. Has anybody navigated that space in between? Has anybody charted that? Because that sounds interesting, and it'd be neat to know what you're facing ahead of time. Where you're going, and how is it you're going to get there? So the question of death, right? And the third question is, it really hits it on the head with what Buddhism is, and that's the question of, why does life suck so bad? I mean, why? Why does it gotta be so shitty? Why does because it is really beautiful too, right? I mean, there's so much greatness and beauty in the world. Why does it gotta suck so bad? And so it comes down to those 3 questions. Catholicism answers them in a particular way. It was reasonably satisfying for a moment, but upon study, and I took my degree in comparative religion, upon the study of Vajrayana Buddhism in particular, I found that all 3 of those questions were answered much more definitively by that faith. And so for that reason, and that reason only, I wasn't even only vaguely aware of the Free Tibet movement or anything like that when I began pivoting towards Vajrayana Buddhism. I did a 1-year, which is brief. It's usually recommended to do 2, but I did a 1-year sort of discernment period, if you will, and then on January 1st, 2010, I took refuge, and I didn't do it frivolously, because I didn't want to ever do it again. Switching religions is not a recommended thing. It's not something you should do willy-nilly. You can really scramble egg your brains by becoming one of these folks who does the sort of religious window shopping. You really can end up in an institution if you do that. Religion is powerful medicine, especially if you have some belief and faith in it. And so that's the story of how I converted from Catholicism to Buddhism. I hope it satisfies your questions. I mean, obviously, Tibetan Buddhism with the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which again is that literally a roadmap to that place in between. The name of the book, is the guide to the in between, and so the guide to the Bardo. And so that's that's pretty convincing. The reincarnation thing, very, very, very definitive and convincing to me, as Lama talked about in his stream yesterday, and very convinced of the science that they have down of finding the reincarnated Lamas. I loved hearing Lama echo my own words, which I said on my channel before I even knew his position, which is that, don't let it bother you when they get it wrong, because they get it right so much more than they get it wrong. It's really incredible part of the Vajrayana faith. And then the idea of suffering. I mean, as if Buddhism doesn't answer that better, right? Catholicism wants you to wrap your suffering around you and use it to expiate your original sin, because you were born shit. And that's the problem. And that's not 100% convincing to me. Whereas Buddhist approach to suffering is a lot more, I mean, we'll see. It's lessening my suffering. I'm suffering a lot less than I was 15 years ago, almost 15 years ago when I converted. So yeah, there it is. That's the why of it. So we're going to end the show. It's probably going to be long. I'm going to have to edit out some doggy barking. It's a wonderful day out here in the dog park where we live. I appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you so much for being here with me again for yet another video. I'm going to try to maybe make one more today. I'm going to talk about that word that I sling around a lot. Lama likes it, but I want to explain what it is, and we're going to talk about core practice. And I'm just going to talk about myself and what I do for my own core practice. And I'm a big believer in keep it simple, but I'm going to run through it with you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I got some ending show notes. So like, subscribe. If you care to, there's a donation link, donation links in the description of the video. Follow the @Ultimate Meaning channel. That's Lama Chugga's channel. Once again, many thanks to Lama and the community for all the support. And finally, I'd like to offer you, let's see if we can get the boys in the shot here. Are they back there somewhere? Nope, they're gone. They're seeking shade elsewhere. It is going to go to 100, but I think I feel another video in me. I hope this one comes out all right and you all like it. I'd like to offer you all our blessing today, and may everything be auspicious today for you and your loved ones. Thank you for watching.